bunda. So yeah, guys. Oh, looking and sounding a lot better today. Yeah. This is day 7 of my COVID symptom days, and very likely day 10 since I first got it, because like I pretty much suspect I got it in the Turkish immigration department, which was about 10 days ago, where we had like a few hundred people packed into a single hall. When I saw that, I knew something's gonna happen. Yeah. And yeah, I probably caught COVID in that hall itself, because the timing is just nice. 4 days after that, I started showing symptoms, and then boom, it's getting and then worse and worse, and then today is day 10. So yeah, and I just a little update, kind of like still have a little bit cough, very little phlegm, but honestly, if I don't consider the past 5 days or 6 days, I feel like I'm perfectly normal right now, and my energy level is coming up. Most importantly is this energy level. Yesterday I was like probably 20 to 30% energy. Today, boom, I suddenly feel like I can draw from a much deeper energy. I can feel like I'm about 50% energy today. And I think I'm recovering very well. And according to local Turkish law, actually today I should be able to go out, but honestly, I feel 99% well, but I don't feel 100% well. So I want to just stay in for one more day, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go out. Okay, tomorrow is Martin Luther Jr.'s Day, US holiday, so US market's not gonna open. So tomorrow I'm gonna head out, and tomorrow's live stream I'm gonna show you guys my neighborhood. Such a interesting neighborhood, because every different direction in this neighborhood opens up a whole new world. Just crazy, right? I show you a small part of the neighborhood first. I think I could, like, if I keep showing the neighborhood, I could go for a week, like at least a week just showing the neighborhood. Such an interesting neighborhood. Okay, so let's just wait for a moment and see who comes on. Again, if Dusha, my landlord lady Dusha, if you're watching, thank you so much for the breakfast and the chai. Chot lazily. For those of you who don't know, my landlord lady Dusha, she has been sending me food, home cooked Turkish food, over the past few days, because I've been self-isolating. It's just so much warmth, and it's so touching. And today she even made a beautiful breakfast. Check out my Instagram, and topping it up with a little nice chai tea. So I choked the sugar themselves. I'm very, very grateful, very it's really warmed my heart. Really reminds me once again that this world is a caring, beautiful, warm world. I still don't see that cold and uncaring world everybody has been telling me about, like it's kind of like a fairy tale world. I don't see that fairy tale. With all these people around me all the time, I don't see that fairy tale world. I'm sorry. Probably have to repeat this story a few more times in today's live stream when my regular viewers starts to come. Let's check on the thing a little bit. Oh, and it's a very, very, very beautiful winter Sunday morning here in Istanbul. 3 degrees Celsius outside. Beautiful, beautiful day today. I really, really love to be out there showing you guys the neighborhood today, but I think I'm still a danger to other people today. I'm gonna just wait for one more day, yeah? But it's really cold outside, so because it's like 2 or 3 degrees Celsius outside, so yes, January in Istanbul is also the coldest month of Istanbul. Just like January in pretty much every Four Seasons country tends to be the coldest month Yeah. Just before Lunar New Year, it's always the coldest in every four-season country. As you can see, I'm still not 100%. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I don't like quite feel 100% yet. Yeah. So to be a responsible citizen of the world, I should still stay in today. Honestly, I feel like if today, if I went out and show you guys the neighborhood today, I'm gonna get slammed by a lot of people. Oh, you should be staying at home. You should be observing protocol, this and that. Yeah, okay. Limpeh observes protocol. Okay. So today, it's yet another home episode of my Limpeh live stream, live chat. As you can see, I'm still running. Yeah, still fluid looking. Well, you can see I put on a lot of weight. All the good food Disha has been bringing me already put on boom. You can see, yeah. It's a good thing, by the way. Yeah, when you're sick, the last thing you want to worry about is your weight. When you're sick, you just want to, if you can, the moment you can eat, you just want to eat anything and everything. Like Lucy, just take in all kinds of calories, trash calorie, whatever, just take it in. Your body's gonna need it. So, wow, nobody. It's weird. Usually, like the first few minutes, I don't get nobody. Usually, at first 10 to 15 minutes, I don't get anybody. I'm thinking of a good solution for this, because I've tried live streaming 5 to 10 minutes later, but it doesn't work. 5 to 10 minutes later, I still have to wait 5 to 10 minutes before anybody shows up. So this first 5 to 10 minutes is always a very awkward time for me. I say too much. Then later when people come on, I have to repeat the same story all over again. And I don't say anything, it becomes weird, like this. So yeah. But the past 3 weeks of being away from pretty much social media really does affect a lot of things in my life. This is why, again, my kind of lifestyle is not great for building, like if you're building something, you're building some kind of business, you're building a YouTube channel, when you don't have a base, a stable life base to work from, and interruptions in life like takes you away from whatever you're working on for a week or two, you lose momentum, you lose viewers. It affects a lot, actually. That's why, like so far I've not been able to make anything really significant or really impactful, because every time I gain momentum, something in life changes, and then boom, and then I have to do something else, disappear for a bit. Laurel, good morning. Laurel from Prague. Good morning, Limpeh. You look much better today. Happy to see that Prague has some beautiful weather. Thanks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, today I feel like 99%, but not 100% yet. Yeah. You see, I still have my cough, phlegm. But apart from that, my energy level is rising up every single day. I can feel like my energy level is probably about 50% today. I can draw deeper into my energy today. And today is also probably day 10 of my COVID. So honestly, actually today I should be able to go out. But because you see, I'm still coughing and stuff. And these days when you go out and you cough, like everybody will look at you like, whoa, So since I'm still coughing, I'm just gonna stay at home. But good thing is, my landlord lady, Dusha, across the corridor, been bringing me some really good food, so I never had to go out. Beautiful and very delicious breakfast this morning. Once again, thank you so much, Dusha. Thank you. Çok teşekkür ederim, sağ ol. Happy to say that. Prague has same beautiful weather. Oh, it's still cold in Prague today, right? Like 2-3 degrees Celsius. Prague and Istanbul weather is extremely close. Can't say Turkish weather because Turkish weather is different across Turkey. Turkey spans at least 2 time zones, you know. So it's actually really wide. It's wide but not deep. So it's really wide. So very different places in Turkey have different weather. Okay, so I'm talking about Istanbul weather. In fact, I kind of suspect that the Europe side Istanbul and the Asia side of Istanbul might have different weather as well. So I'm just gonna say that the Europe side of Istanbul, where I am now, Beşiktaş area, I can never pronounce this properly. Beşiktaş area is 2 or 3 degrees Celsius. Oh, my fringe looks like crap. I think I destroyed my own fringe cutting myself. COVID showed the state of your health. You recover nice, so means you have a strong young body. Oh yeah, I never doubted. I never doubted. And I pretty much recovered with just water. Okay, nothing but water and rest. Not even warm for that first 3 to 4 days. For the first 4 days, I don't even have heating gas at home. Okay, no heating gas at home, no food, no medicine, just water. Good thing I bought enough water. Actually, I didn't buy enough water. I need a 1 5-liter bottle of water, which lasted me for 4 days. So in the end of the day, I would say, you know, I defeated COVID purely by will of energy. That's all. But then again, I don't think it's just a me thing. Honestly, I think most people are just gonna, if you get COVID, you're just gonna recover somehow. 1 week, maybe 2. Yeah. I don't think it requires any too specific kind of medical attention unless of course your body is like wrecked or normally like by default. Then if you're someone who is healthy, who watches a diet, keeps your inflammation level low by default in your daily life, I don't see anyone having problems with COVID, honestly. Unless you have underlying medical issues, of course. Yeah. Wow. 7 people. Welcome. So, yeah, by Turkish law, today I should be able to go out. Okay, but since, as you see, I'm still coughing, and I still have phlegm, which means I still might be infectious, so I better stay in for 1 more day. Since tomorrow is Martin Luther Jr. Day in the US, so US market's not open. So tomorrow, if I feel better, I'll go out and show you guys the neighborhood. This is an amazing neighborhood. Every direction this neighborhood shows you a different thing. That direction, we will cross 2 major parks, the World Peace Park and then the Royal Pavilion Park. In that direction, we'll cross through the pub and cafes district and to the Bosphorus. In that direction, we go into this neighborhood town with the Abasak Park. Okay, another park. In that direction, another thing, but that direction is quieter. But in all 4 directions, we have completely different things to look at, and it's amazing. I can't wait to show you guys my neighborhood. Yeah, it's amazing as the apartment that I live in right now. And again, I want to thank my dear friend Colin. I think Colin is still in Antalya, right? Having holiday with his family, who helped me got this apartment. If not for Colin and Sadeh family, I'll never have this apartment. So çok teşekkür ederim sağ ol. Çok teşekkür ederim sağ ol. So Laura, have you got COVID yet? Oh, and today I can smell more now. You know, yesterday I started to be able to smell things, but I think yesterday I could smell only like 50% of the incense I burned on that table over there. Today, I could smell like 70%. I could smell more today. Yeah. Oh, you didn't. Or maybe like some people, even if you did, that you're asymptomatic and you wouldn't know. Oh, gentle lion, my dear Mr. Patrick O from Singapore, the Lion City, the gentle lion from Lion City. Great, yeah. Up and running. I know how it feels with COVID. I took 2 weeks and till now almost 2 years still got breathing issues. Oh really? Wow. Like COVID has like a lasting effect on you. I still have the rashes though, but my rashes is recovering so fast. I had the rashes for only 1 day and now all recovering. I got some new rashes today here on my legs, but all recovering very quickly. My smell is coming back very quickly. But still not 100%. I still don't have 100% of my smell. I need to be very deliberate to smell the incense. I need to do this. Okay, now I smell. If I don't smell anything, but now I smell. Yeah, I have to be very deliberate to smell anything right now. Good morning, Kim Teo from Singapore. Good afternoon. Gentle lion might be lung injury. Oh, so COVID leaves you with permanent injuries? I'm not sure. I don't bother to read about these things. And Kim Teo, and yeah, for Laura, I did the antibody test for COVID and nothing. What is surprising is that I see lots of people every day, no mask, no social distance. Yeah, I mean, look at it this way, Laura. I have been here for more than a year, okay? And you guys know I go around with no mask, no nothing, no social distancing, which is how I got it in the immigration department, okay? But I only got it after more than a year. And I only got it in the worst situation, which is in the immigration department, where it's just a small hall packed with hundreds of people. Hundreds of people, no distancing, like cramped. Yeah. I knew something's gonna come out of this. I knew something is going to go down, and I got it, But if not for going to the immigration department, for more than a year here, I've not got it. And I don't wear masks and all that stuff, yeah. And interestingly, I had a Singaporean friend who came to Istanbul 2 weeks ago. She was here for only 1 week. And after 1 week going back to Singapore, she was tested positive for COVID after just 1 week. And that makes me wonder, how did I last more than a year here without COVID when my friend got it like in 1 week of being in Istanbul? I don't understand this, So to me, like it sounds really random. Gentle lion. I could not breathe in deeply and need to deliberately breathe smell. Oh, I see. But when a few days ago when my COVID was at its worst, it was all inflamed all the way down, and my chest was so painful. Like my heart was painful. When I cough, it's not chest pain, no. When I cough, it's heart pain, no. So, and heart and stomach pain together. So stomach was really painful for no reason in the cavity here. So, yeah, it was actually quite scary because when it was at its worst, not only do I have all this pain, I was running a fever, and the sore throat went from this position all the way across here on the top of the throat, so bad I couldn't even drink water anymore. So like, at that point of time, right, I'm cold and lonely at home. At the time, I still didn't have heating gas at home, okay? So it was very cold, about -2 or 3 degrees Celsius. So I literally had to go to bed in winter padding, right? So I was thinking to myself, damn, if this is the end, nobody would know now. Maybe a few days later, if my landlord checks on me, maybe you'll know, but that will be long gone, man. But at that moment where you felt the worst, it turned the corner. It was so dramatic. I feel the whole thing turned the corner, like literally turned the corner. You feel it very strongly. That suddenly, I feel like when I was before feeling like on the tip of a mountain going up. Now I suddenly feel like on the tip of a mountain going down. You know, so I felt a great relief and a great hunger. You know, I was so hungry. I was so hungry. I was eating up all the leftover cheese in my fridge. Yes, the last. Okay, you know when you're in certain bad situations, you don't care about hygiene or this stuff anymore. No, but in my fridge, there was some leftover cheese from my landlord's son. Yeah, so he left over some cheese that like kind of like cooking cheese, so big cooking cheese. So he left it in my fridge. You know, I ate it all up, like right there. I was just grabbing everything that could be put in my mouth and just ate it all up. You know, when it comes to that kind of situation, you just do anything to survive. Yeah, I ate it all up. You know, and I didn't have any salt, so I wanted to take some salt water for my sore throat, right? Because I didn't get rid of sore throat. It was really bad. I didn't have any salt at home. You know what I did? I took I have some soya sauce. I took soya sauce, put soya sauce in water and just drank it. Because soya sauce is fermented saltish thing, right? And so it's kind of anti-inflammation, and I just drank soya sauce. Yeah. Yeah. This is what I would do to survive, okay? Now, if it's not in a civilized situation like this, if you throw me in the jungle, you see me do all kind of crazy things to survive. Yeah, I would drink the blood of a snake. I would rip its guts. Yeah, that I'll do anything to survive. So that's why, you know, some of my friends who have known me over the past 20 years, right? Especially my 10 years in China, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I spent about 10 years in China, 5 years in Shanghai, 5 years in Beijing. Those are my friends who knew me during those periods. They concluded this thing about me, you know. They said this, Jason, you're a survivor. You're a survivor. Yeah. That to them, that this is my most striking quality, you know, that my ability to survive, just in any kind of situation and anything, I would just survive. Yeah. So how so a lot of people are wondering, so how do you survive all this thing? Like when you are in a bad situation, how do you just keep going? Well, when I'm in a bad situation, the first thing I do is I don't boo, or I don't bitch about what's happening. I accept everything that's happening. I accept everything that is. Okay, right now, I'm feeling crappy. I have no heating gas. Instead of sitting there and then try to blame everybody for this situation, I would say I accept that this is the situation. Now I need to fix this. I grab my winter jacket. I drink soy sauce, whatever I need to do. Okay, I blame nobody. I try not to waste my time and energy to think about what happened that led me to this situation. That's for later. When I'm in a bad situation, I only look at what is and I solve the problem. That's all I do. No thinking, no blaming, no bitching. Yeah, that's how I survived 20 years overseas. It's not easy to survive overseas, you know. You run into a lot of very bad situations living overseas alone, which is why most people would not last more than 5 years overseas, you know. Most people go back to their own home country after 2 or 3 years overseas. Why? Because most people run into the first of such problems and immediately they go home. Why do they need to survive it? Yeah, which is why it takes a lot more than money to live my lifestyle. So a lot of people keep having this illusion that, oh, someday when I'm rich, I'm gonna live like Limpeh. No, it's not about money. It's about the greed of being able to survive and survive and survive every bad situation in life. You cannot imagine the kind of situations you can get into in a foreign country. Things that you took for granted in your present life right now will become big issues. Simple things like ordering online can become a big issue when you're living alone overseas and you don't know the language. Simple things become huge nuisance. You won't experience that if you have never been outside your bubble, you know. Okay. So that's why, you know, when I started posting about my COVID situation, a lot of people kept giving me good advice. I know you guys are good-hearted. Oh, please take resveratrol. Please take this. Please take that. No, but I mean, it's easy for you guys to say take this, take that. Because why? You either have a friend to buy it for you, your family taking care of you, or you can simply order online on Amazon. I could do none of these things. You need to put yourself in my shoe, as someone in a foreign country who don't know a crap about their language, who therefore can't order anything on the phone, nor use any of the apps because it's all in Turkish, and no friend, no family, nobody taking care of me. In this situation, how the hell am I supposed to get the resveratrol and all that whatever medication? I don't know. See, these things that most people think is really simple thing becomes extremely hard when you're living alone overseas. Laura, I think you can get it also when your energy is low. Maybe you're more low on energy during that time. Yeah, exactly. I think, Laura, like I said in the example, my friend caught COVID here in Istanbul in just 1 week. I don't believe I survived more than a year without catching COVID. I probably have fended off COVID more than once, and I don't even wear masks. So when my energy level is high and my immunity is high, therefore, definitely I have fended off COVID more than once, I feel. Yeah. And you guys know that you can get COVID more than once, huh? I have one friend in America, one of my very close friends over the past 15 years. He's 60 plus years old, and he's right now second time catching COVID. So guys, understand that you don't catch COVID only once, and you don't just fend off COVID only once. When you're low in energy and your immunity is low, it's gonna come and it's gonna bite you back in the ass again. Yeah. So guys, always take care of your energy. This is the time. I think COVID is a good thing, because why? It raises the bar on human health awareness. No time over the past 70 years has it been more necessary for humans to live a healthy lifestyle and to keep your immunity and energy level high. No other times over the past 70 years has the world been in so deep a need to be healthy individuals like right now. I think it's a good thing. Kim Teo, anything else help in your recovery besides sleep, water, soy sauce, and meditation? Nothing else. Really nothing else. I think Kim Teo, one of my friends actually mentioned this, which I thought made sense. One of my friends said that I may be recovering so quickly and so well because all my default lifestyle, okay, so it's not just this period, but all along I have kept a lifestyle and diet which allows my body inflammation level to be very, very low. Yeah. So by default, I already have very low inflammation internally all over my body by nature of the kind of food that I eat and the lifestyle that I live. Yeah. So because of that, I don't get hit as hard as most people because your default level of inflammation is going to make things a lot worse when the COVID inflammation starts to come. Yeah. So I think I get the COVID inflammation, but it goes away real quick because my body inflammation is by default really low. So I think this helps a lot. Okay. If you ask me how should I eat to keep my body inflammation low? Eat as much raw food as possible. Do a pranic diet like I do. Yeah. Stay away from deep cooked food, oil, and all that stuff. Yeah. Eat raw. Like I would say, at least 50% of your food portion should be raw. For me, my raw portion is probably about 75%. I only eat a small portion of cooked rice. Yeah. Gentle Lion, you founded the new COVID early treatment using soya sauce. Soon WHO will ban soya sauce. Yeah, soya sauce helped me so much. Do you know I drank a big bowl of soya sauce. I pour the soya sauce, put a bit of water, and I just drink. Oh, crazy, yeah. The East Asian method of dealing COVID symptoms. I can't say that this is not curing COVID, okay? Because nothing about soy sauce attacks COVID directly, but it helps with the symptom, the sore throat syndrome. And because soy sauce is fermented, by the way, because it's fermented, it also helps to control free radicals, which basically just tries to support your immunity. Yeah. So okay, like I say, I'm not no nutritionist, no scientist. I just did what I did to survive. Okay, if you need to study this, study it and tell me tell me the result. Okay, is there any science behind this? I just did it out. I did that out of desperation. That's all. Alright. Louis, hi Louis. Good afternoon, Louis from Singapore. Gentle lion. Yep. When faced with challenges, just move forward and focus on overcoming it. Don't waste time looking back or anything. Survival is the key during that kind of period. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you don't know, gentle lion, how many people I've seen in my life waste so much time. In fact, they spend 75% of their time bitching about the situation and only 25% of the time trying to solve it. Yeah. You see it everywhere around you. Just go to a cafe, sit down, and just listen. What are people doing? They're just bitching about everything in their life. What are they doing? Nothing, little to nothing. Maybe 25%, maybe not even 25%. Yeah. It's so important. Acceptance is the key to everything in life. So I think this topic, I've talked about this topic for a few months right now, yeah. And some of you have asked me, how do I accept my situation if my situation sucks? How do I accept my situation how do I accept my real life? Yeah, because it's part of my real life and story life model. How do I accept my real life if my real life sucks? This is how. I just been through the suckiest real life situation ever. That's how you accept it. You accept and solve the problem. You don't sit there and bitch about it. You bitch about things that you don't accept. How to know you don't accept something? If you see yourself bitching about it, you're not accepting it. When you accept something deeply, it becomes part of your solution. You no longer feel the urge or even the thinking to bitch about it. You're just solving the problem. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. In fact, I think this is a really, really good example. I'm going to be using this example a lot, yeah, going forward. When I talk about accepting bad situations, this is exactly how I did it. Accepting the bad situation and then finding a way to survive it. And then you can survive. If I did not do this, if all I did was bitching about everything and I'm suffering and I'm complaining to God and I'm scolding everything, I think I wouldn't have recovered. I wouldn't have done the things that I did to help me recover. Yeah. And good morning, Tressa. Oh, Hunter Wish. Wow, 久しぶりですね。元気ですか？おー、久しぶりですね。Hunter Wish, how's everything? 元気ですか？あ、今は元気です。今は元気になりました。はい。COVID やから、先週からCOVID. Kim Teo, then why don't you accept the change in... Oh, no, I accept the change in the immigration law and I fought it. If I don't accept, you see, that's why you see Kim Teo, you don't quite understand the concept of acceptance. Acceptance don't mean giving up. Accepting the situation means you acknowledge that, okay, this is no longer that situation. This is now this situation. And now I have to do this A, B, C, D, E to bridge this situation. So accepting a situation is a key to helping you solve the situation. Accepting a situation do not mean giving up the situation. Okay? This is a distinction that you need to understand, Kim. Hunter Wish, good for you. Not so good. I think but today, I think like after today, tomorrow I should be able to show you guys my new neighborhood and my new house, my new neighborhood, right? I've shown over the past few days my new apartment. So tomorrow, maybe I should be able to go out there and show you guys the neighborhood. Yeah. You know, Kim Teo, if you adopt this kind of mindset where, oh, if something change, you accept and go home, you won't last 20 years overseas. Then I won't be here talking to you guys. I won't be living the crazy life that you guys want to follow about. I would have what Kim Teo, what you just said was exactly what I said just now, that most people cannot last 3 to 5 years overseas because of this. The first problem they meet, they accept it and go home. Yeah, most people, 90% of the people, the first real life-threatening problem or bad situation they run into overseas, they go home. Yeah, and if I had that mindset, I would not have done 20 years overseas. And because I never had that mindset, okay, it's how I keep going on. And of course, the main thing is you got the idea of acceptance wrong. Again, accepting a situation is not giving up. Accepting a situation is not fighting in your heart or rejecting in your heart the situation. I only say fight in my social media because that's the concept most people understand without me having to give them a lecture on deep spirituality. Okay, but in my heart is first you need to I accept that there's a change, and now I cannot fight that change because it's already a reality. I need to plot out the A, B, C, D, E to solve the problem. And I did. I'm still here. Most people would have gone back to New York, gone back to Singapore. I'm still here. Yeah. Gentle Lion. So the winter storm has stopped. Yeah. On the night when my COVID symptoms was the worst, it was actually a snowstorm that night, and I didn't have any heating gas, so it was like -3, -4 degrees at night. Wow, you cannot understand like how it feels. Of course, this is not the first time I slept like this. Not the first time. Actually, it's not the first time in my life where I was in such deep winter without heating. Not the first time. So yes, so I drew upon my experience of surviving such situations. When was my first time? Okay, if you ask me, my first time surviving deep winter with no heating, okay, was actually back in 2009 in Henan province of China. I went to Henan province of China, not Zhengzhou, no, in the rural areas. I went to a rural, not so rural, but quite so backwards, called Xinxiang, to look at some of the new real estate projects at that time. And at that time, Xinxiang was actually so backwards, there is no heating gas at all in any of the buildings. And you know what? It was -30 degrees Celsius. Oh man, that day in order to go to bed, I had to wear everything I wore on the street, so I was dusty and dirty. It was really dusty place, like sand everywhere. 到处都是黄土. Everywhere was sand, and I wore all that dirty clothing, but it's thick, into bed. Yeah, that's how I survived, no? So I did the same thing to survive this time around. So I wore all my winter padding into bed. Yeah. Hunter Witch. I'm watching Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Are you interested in English literature? Well, I studied English literature for my O levels, so I swore to God I'll never touch English literature ever again in my life. I was tortured by 4 years of Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet and Tales of Two Cities. Enough. Gentle Lion. It was killing me when I was in Beijing -10 with no heating in 1991. Fully clothed and covered with 2 comforters and still shivering. Yeah, that kind. Here. Just happened to me 3 days ago. Right here. I see what Yeah. Now I remember those times that I literally recite Romeo and Juliet, not in modern English, okay, in the original Victorian text. I could recite act by act by act, the whole thing back then. I'm never gonna do it again. Such a waste of my brain power and memory. 懐かしいな恥ずかしくないな。全然。あ、ハンドウィッチ、見てみ。着物です。袴、着物です。おもろいな。十文字。そして、ボン。あれは書いてました。大丈夫I want to try on traditional Chinese clothes. I don't even know what traditional Chinese clothes are, honestly. Or 10 years in China, I've never tried on like so-called traditional Chinese clothes. Because, okay, on this topic, yeah, so what is so-called traditional Chinese clothes? So it's a very complex issue. For about 10 years in China, I was deeply exploring and learning. I'm not Chinese, by the way. A lot of people keep thinking I'm Chinese. I only learned about China when I was in China, okay, that 10 years, right? Otherwise, I know nothing about Chinese anything. Now, so when I was those 10 years in China, I was deeply exploring the religions, the language, the cultures, the deep traditions of China, yeah? And I realized one thing, nobody really knows what is traditional Chinese clothing. And therefore, in China, you would not, unlike in Japan, in Korea. In Japan and Korea, it's very clear. In Korea, it's hanbok. In Japan, it's kimono. It's very clear. But in China, nobody wears traditional clothing. You will never see any Chinese person wear traditional clothing. You know why? Simply nobody knows what is Chinese traditional clothing at all. Yeah. That's why recently, if you see, there's a resurgence of traditional interest in China over the past about 5 to 10 years, yeah, that young people are beginning to research for themselves what exactly are traditional Chinese clothes. Yeah, they themselves didn't know what is traditional Chinese clothes. And in the end, do you know what's the conclusion? They had to go all the way back about 1,500 years to the Qin and Han dynasty for the first hint of what it might be what they call Hanfu or Han clothing. That's 1,500 years ago, and that clothing has evolved and pretty much never been worn since for thousands of years. So can you call that the traditional Chinese clothing? It's actually very iffy. And how do you even define what is Chinese? China is a very complex country. A lot of people seems to know automatically, oh, this guy is Chinese or what. Oh, China is as complex as India. There are so many ethnicities. There are 57, 56 ethnicities, that someone may even look like a white Russian and be Chinese. There are Koreans who are Chinese, Japanese who are Chinese. So what is Chinese? It's very hard to pin down exactly what is representative of Chinese or China. So a lot of people have been proposing, so Han culture is Chinese. Then the question becomes, what in the world is Han culture? Do you know that today's people, today's China, it is very difficult to pin down exactly what culture is Han culture. Because why? What a lot of people think is Han culture today is actually a put together of many different cultures, which China used to be like 16 different countries, they're all different cultures. Then you might say that, oh, that's because that was before China is unified. Then if you want to go that far, then you have to go all the way down to Vietnam. Exactly, during the Three Kingdoms period, the Cambodian area, the Vietnamese area, they were highly integrated with the then Shu China. So where do you draw the line? It's very complex. So today, I see a lot of people claim to wear traditional Chinese clothes, and look at it. Basically, they're all wearing what is called cheongsam, okay, or qipao. Now, cheongsam is not traditional Chinese clothing. I'm sorry. So many people wear cheongsam thinking that, or qipao, thinking that it's traditional Chinese culture. Now, I'm gonna give you guys a history lesson. Number one, the modern cheongsam that you see ladies wear, or slim, high slit cut, that thing is less than 50 years old. So it is not a traditional Chinese clothing. It is less than 50 years old. It was invented after it was actually pretty much invented way into the Ming Guo Shiqi. So I can't say it's 50 years, but 70 years, okay? Less than 100 years old. Something that's less than 100 years old, you can't call it traditional. So then where did that come from? Oh, that comes from qi pao, which is qi ren fu shi, which is the clothing of the Manchurian people. So can you call Manchurian people Chinese people? That's the next question. Because before the Qing dynasty, before the Manchurian people took over China, Manchurian people were never Chinese, were never part of the China culture or China country at all. And they took over. So what they are wearing Chinese? Definitely not. It's completely different. And so from that, qi fu, which is something like cheongsam for 10 times the fat lady, okay? Very white, very cumbersome. And from there, they created from just this one design, just this one button design, they made the cheongsam. And the cheongsam is not. Therefore, if you look at the history of the cheongsam, it is neither Chinese in origin, nor is it traditional in its creation. It was a modern creation, right? So, what is traditional Chinese clothing? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody can define and say definitively this is traditional Chinese clothing. That's why have you ever seen any Chinese leaders wear so-called traditional Chinese clothes? Never. It doesn't exist. Just a history lesson, yeah? I need to give this history lesson because I see so many people around the world claim to wear traditional Chinese clothes. Well, when I looked at it, no, it's not. It's neither traditional, nor is it even Chinese. So, if you want to trace back to real traditional Chinese clothes, how does it look like? It looks like this. This kimono. This kimono is the exact representation of traditional Chinese clothing in the Ming Dynasty. In Ming Dynasty, everybody wore like this. Everybody wore the jacket with the overskirting. Everybody. This is standard soldier dressing during the Ming Dynasty. If you want to go slightly even earlier, even the hanbok is Chinese. Yeah, hanbok I think was after the Tang Dynasty. Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah. So then, if you want to say it that way, then actually, when we wear hanbok or when we wear kimono, we're essentially wearing traditional Chinese clothing. So where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? See, that's the problem, So right now, today, nobody knows. That's why if you go to China, you will never see anyone, nobody wears so-called traditional clothing at all. There's no traditional clothing in Chinese society. In all the 10 years that I've lived in so many different parts of China, I've not seen any representative form of traditional Chinese clothing. Except if you go to the Yunnan area. So the Yunnan area, all the minority people have all their traditional clothing, and they do wear. They wear those stuff to work, you know. So to them, it's not just a traditional clothing, it's actually a everyday clothing. And if you call them Chinese, then those are traditional Chinese clothing then, you know. So when you draw the line, it's a very complex issue. Very complex. Hunter witch. Yes, we tend to for Chinese as Han Mingju. But see, that's the problem. How do you define who is the Han Mingju? It's very hard to define. Right now, in China, what the government does is, if you're not clearly from an ethnic parent, you're just given the name Han. But if you trace their bloodlines, right, very few are pure Hans. The Hans are very, very, very ancient race in China. The Hans were dominant only about between 2000 to 1500 years ago. After that, you have all after that they have all the different countries and minorities around it that makes up the country of China being assimilated into China. Which is why if you go to China, you go to Beijing, you look at the people in Beijing, and then you go to I wouldn't say Shenzhen. Shenzhen is a mixed pot. Yeah, go to somewhere in the south, yeah, just anywhere in the south. And you look at the people, they look completely different. And if you check their ID, they are called Han, all Han. When they are genetically completely different in looks, heights, facial structure, all different. So what you call China is actually a very complex combination of many different races and countries and cultures since ancient time. A lot of major migrations in the region, and it's very hard to pin down what exactly is Han. In fact, most of my friends in Beijing, they are really big and tall, and they're in the ID, they're all called Han. But when you look at their ancestry, many of them are mixed Manchurians. Because Manchurians took over that place for 400 years. So most of them actually have Manchurian or some kind of Mongolian blood in them, you know, or Siberian. Whereas the southern parts of China, they tend to have all the Micronesian blood. That's why right now the theory is Chinese people, the southern Chinese people came from the Micronesian south, whereas the northern Chinese people came from the Siberian north, you know. So this is the new theory of not just from top. The old theory was Chinese people came from top down. Now the new theory is bottom up as well, because how different people in the northern part and southern part of China just looks completely different. You might as well call them from different countries. They even speak different languages, you know. It's a very, very interesting thing. It's a very complex issue. What exactly is Han? You cannot define. It's so hard to define. I don't think they want to define, because the only way to define this is genetics. And I think if China does a mass genetic mapping of this thing, they're gonna see a lot of diversity, and that will create a lot of social issues. They don't want such issues. They want everybody to think they're one and the same. You know, I don't think we'll ever be able to solve this mystery of what exactly are Chinese people. It's still a mystery. I was deeply intrigued by this whole Chinese thing, you know. Cindy Lee, show us our apartment. Well, I've shown my apartment over the past few days, so I'm not going to show it today since we're on a conversation, yeah? Cindy, if you are interested, just go to my channel and check out my live stream over the past 2 days. I've shown my apartment twice over the past 2 days. Gentle Lion. China was invaded by the Mongols, Manchurians, and Japanese. China itself has over 600 dialects, too complex, with the northern people much bigger size than the southern people. Yeah, that's why, you know, what exactly is Chinese? okay, if you want my non-professional opinion, I'm sorry, okay, I am a non-professional, I am an amateur anthropologist. That's what I would pride myself as, an amateur historian, okay? The so-called China and so-called Chinese, okay, died with the Yuan dynasty. Yeah. Or at least it died with the Qing dynasty. And in fact, if you want to go back, if you want to, what we call the principle of continuity, yeah, when you study history, then actually China was no more 400 years ago, right? That China you talk about is called Qing dynasty, which is a Manchurian country. So it's actually fairer to say that what you call China today is actually Manchuria. And it has never stopped, because after that, after the final emperor of Qing dynasty got taken down, he joined World War II and he was fighting back. So in the sense, the Qing government with the Qing emperor did not disappear then. So then that Manchuria country continued into World War II, became largely all kinds of different countries took over, yeah. And then after that, the revolution started and forged a new identity. So this new identity that they call Chinese was actually for over 400 years Manchuria. The pigtail thing, the clothing, the food, you know, most of the food that you guys think is Chinese food, they're all Manchurian food. All the clothing you think is Chinese clothing, they're all Manchurian clothing. That pigtail you think is a Chinese thing, no, it's not a Chinese thing, it's a Manchurian thing. It's a Mongol-Manchurian thing. Mongols do that as well. So it's fair to say that Chinese China ended at least 400 years ago. If not, I would argue at least 1,600 years ago it ended with the Yuan dynasty. Actually, I would tend to think so. Because look, in history, when one country gets taken over by another country, that country ceases to exist, isn't it? The new country exists, isn't it? If you don't go by that principle, then this place would still be East Roman Empire. Why is it Turkey? Why is Istanbul Turkey after the Turkish took over? Why is it still not Roman? Why? Because when you take over, they take over the culture and it becomes a new country. So that happened to China more than once. So which is why the only prominent and real Chinese China was more than 1,600 years ago and ended with the coming of the Yuan dynasty, which is the Mongolians, okay, taking over. When Mongolians took over, China became Mongol. That's it. There was no more China. Just like there was no more Roman Empire after the Turkish took over. Okay. Of course, after that, the so-called Ming dynasty with the so-called Han people, iffy again, it's just so-called, it's very iffy, defeated the Yuan dynasty, and then which, of course, after a few hundred years, was defeated by the Manchurian. So even if you want to argue that, okay, Chinese people took over again and made it China again, then they still lost it 400 years ago to the Manchurians. So it was culturally, every sense of the word Manchuria, from the hairstyle to the clothing to everything was Manchuria. So everything you know and understand about China today is actually easier and is actually more historically accurate to say that China today is a new country. It is a new country about 70 plus years old. Yeah, it's more productive to think it that way. Yeah, it's a new country forging a new culture, and they call themselves China. Okay, but it is very iffy. It is a very, very complex country with a very complex culture and a very complex history. You know, unlike Japanese history is the most straightforward and cleanest history in whole of East Asia. You know, in whole of East Asia, there is no country like Japan. Why? there is no country in East Asia where the royal family was never broken, one line through. Never. In fact, Japan is unique in the world because of this. There is no other monarchies in the world with a continuous line of royal family for over 1,500 years, never broken. Of course, Japan claimed 2005, but historically and by research is 1,005. Yeah. So, but even for 1,500 years, Japan still has the longest single monarchy in the world today. It's never broken, single family line. And Japan is the only country which was never taken over by any country in the world. Never. In East Asia, never. Only Japan. Yeah. Never have invaders even crossed into Japan. Not even the Mongols did that. Yeah. And if you look at the history of all other Asian countries, even for some countries like Thailand, which it was never fully taken over by any external forces, but external forces kept coming in from time to time. Yeah, the Burma thing and all this, right? So Japan is very straightforward. When it comes to history, Japanese have a very straightforward thinking that this is this race, and this race equals this. They dress this way, they eat this, they think about these things in very straight lines. Why? Because their history has been very straight line. Not even Korean history is straight line. Okay, Korean history is very, very controversial. I don't want to go into that because a lot of people will be very, very unhappy with what I discovered about Korean history. Okay, but suffice to say, Korea has not always been Korea, and Korea, today is a very young country. Okay? You have to think of it that way, that you have changed hands too many times to say that it's still the same country, right? But only Japan never changed hands, never invaded. It's just crazy. It's a little history. Yeah, of course, I'm an amateur historian. Hunter Witch. In also Japan, there are some minority ethnics like the Ainu. Yeah, Ainu and Jomon and Yayoi. But of course, even Japanese history before 1,500 years, I have my own theory. In fact, my theory is quite widely supported by the research field these days. But I don't want to say it because again, such histories are deep histories make people of the country very angry. So I don't want to talk about it. But suffice to say that like Akihito Tenno himself admitted to some parts of this history. I don't want to go into it. Okay, I don't want to go into it. Japanese people here, I don't think they like to hear these things. Ainu language don't have their own character, so their language is only for conversation. Yeah. Ainu, the Ainu, Jomon, and Yayoi cultures are the three main cultures that form what is modern Japan. But actually, even Jomon is. You can even say that Jomon has gone extinct. Yeah, less than 3% of the genome. Yeah. It's to claim that Japanese is any part Jomon is claiming that Europeans are still Neanderthals, because that's how little the genome is left. I think Japanese people right now has as much Jomon genome as European people has Neanderthal genomes. Yeah, it's that rare right now. So you could even call it an extinct culture. Hunter Witch. I was told to be punctual for time. Oh, Alexander. 안녕하세요. 오랜만이에요. 되게 오랜만이에요. Alexander. 잘 지냈었어요? 되게 오랜만이에요. 저도 이사하고, 코비드에서 회복하고, 여러 가지 상황 겪었습니다. Quite an interesting conversation on histories. 한국말 할 때 목소리가 더 좋아요. 한국 어떤 모든 언어 다 그 자기의 목소리가 있잖아요. 그 목소리 그리고 그 리듬 다 있잖아요. 그래서 modern 언어가 한 목소리로 하면 진짜 안 된 것 같아요. 너무 듣기 이상해. 되게 이상해요. So, but basically, what we were talking about is that you're saying that I sound different. I sound better when I speak Korean. That yeah, and I was explaining every single language. There's a certain place and tone you have to speak from. Otherwise, you don't sound like that language at all. So every language that I speak, you see, I use a different part, and I sound different. Even my Japanese sounds very different from my Korean because I'm using a different part as well. Yeah. Especially Korean language, because Korean language you have to speak from a certain part in order to get the pronunciation correct. If you don't speak from deep, then a lot of the pronunciations in Korean is going to be wrong. Because Korean language requires very subtle pronunciation using the whole of the inside and the position of the tongue, which becomes impossible if you are using the high muscles for speaking and restricting the movements of the tongue and the muscles. Yeah. So you can say that it's impossible to speak proper Korean without adopting the Korean voice. There's a certain voice you have to learn, which is very deep. Well, so yep. Seems like we're done for today. You see, as I talk more and more, my cough becomes worse and worse. Yeah. So I gotta pretty much gotta rest. And I hope tomorrow I'll be in a state where I could show you guys my neighborhood, get out of house, and do my first outdoors live streaming out in my neighborhood, right? So if you are curious about this very amazing neighborhood that I now live in, it's called Beşiktaş. I moved from the Nişantaşı area, which is the main shopping district, the luxury shopping district, to the Beşiktaş area, which is like the Hongdae of Seoul, the pub and clubbing and lifestyle district of Istanbul. Let me show you guys what Beşiktaş is like from tomorrow onwards. Hopefully, right? At new.